Meditation and visualization are two key components and practices that can separate a good or mediocre athlete from a truly great athlete. However, these and other mental practices can often be overlooked by both coaches and players, resulting in a weaker performance and potential overtraining. Yogi Berra, professional baseball player, manager, and coach, who was very well known for his yogiisms, as they were called, stated that baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. While his ratios are questionable, many studies have been conducted that are in agreement with Berra, and that an athlete's mental game is just as important, if not more so, than his or her physical game. Aside from those in the field of sports psychology or psychology in general, not very many individuals truly understand the use of mental training or what it is. Meditation and visualization are two techniques that, when used either separately or together, can improve performance. Meditation is a somatic method that involves having the athlete relax and become more self-aware. It is derived from yoga practices and has been found to be very helpful in aiding athletes in focusing and getting in the right mentality. In terms of mentality in sports, two important aspects are being mentally tough and having a growth mindset. These are what coaches are looking for and trying to develop in their players. Visualization is a cognitive method and is a way for athletes to really make that connection between their minds and bodies. It often begins with meditation. There are several steps in the visualization process that, with practice and mastery, can lead to vast improvement in the athlete's respective sport. Ultimately, the goal of using these techniques is for athletes to improve both their physical and mental game, but more so, it's focusing on developing their mental game in order to aid their physical game. Meditation and visualization really go hand in hand. More coaches need to emphasize these techniques and implement them into their training protocols. A lot more awareness of mental training has been brought to light as of late, especially as there are becoming fewer and fewer tactical training methods and physical differences between athletes. The word meditation very literally means to contemplate or reflect. Meditating was originally used in various religious practices and then adapted into yoga practices, but has been found to be a useful tool for athletes to help them get in the zone, so to speak. Two common forms of meditation are mindfulness meditation and concentration meditation. Mindfulness meditation involves consciously recalling past experiences and focusing on those. Athletes can use this to look back on their successes and try to understand what they did right that brought about the positive results. Or they can recall times when the outcome was unfavorable and think about what they could have done differently or better. Concentrative meditation, on the other hand, is what many think of when they think of meditation. It involves focusing on your breathing, repeating a mantra, and grounding yourself. These two types of meditation can be used on their own or together. What meditation does is it allows the athlete to get in the correct mindset for the upcoming practice or event. An athlete can have all the physical skill in the world, but without the right mentality, he or she will not be able to properly compete and succeed. Weinberg et al. Found that in a previous study, 82% of coaches ranked mental toughness as the most important non-physical attribute in determining success for wrestlers. Mental toughness is a characteristic that coaches really look for in athletes and want to develop. Mental toughness, which is based on the idea of hardiness, has three main components: commitment, control, and challenge. Golby and Wood concluded that by attaining this mentality, athletes could improve their performance while protecting themselves against some of the psychological distresses that student athletes and even regular athletes at higher levels face. The concept of mental toughness can be summed up as having an unshakable belief in one's abilities. Using meditation, along with other psychological training, gives athletes a better sense of control over their movements. By studying the implementation of psychological skills training into the training of female rowers, Golby and Wood found that mental toughness is very closely related to self-efficacy, optimism, and psychological wellness and positivity, it had an overall positive effect. Mindfulness meditation, which was recalling past events and focusing on what occurred, is key in fostering a growth mindset, another very important quality for athletes to possess and one that coaches want them to have. Someone with a fixed mindset views their skills and characteristics as innate and fixed. They are gifts that they are born with and cannot change. Meanwhile, someone with a growth mindset believes that these things can be acquired through practice, effort, and learning. These individuals are constantly trying to improve and grow. With a growth mindset comes the concept of intrinsic motivation, which is wanting to do things and succeed for internal rewards rather than external rewards such as trophies, for example. Neuroscientific research has actually identified a positive relationship between growth mindset and intrinsic motivation. The anterior cingulate cortex is related to both learning and control, while the ventral striatum is related to intrinsic values and achieving success. These are the two areas of the brain dealing with both growth mindset and intrinsic motivation. With continued meditation, the athlete is constantly learning from their successes and mistakes and is then able to physically practice based on what they mentally learned. Visualization is a training tool that can very often be overlooked. A study done by Stankovic et al. Was conducted in order to explore the use of mental imagery and visualization in training for sport climbing. They found that it can improve the climber's skills as well as other aspects such as their focus. So what exactly is visualization and what does it entail? Visualization is a cognitive method of mental skills training. Other similar cognitive methods include mental rehearsal, visuomotor behavior rehearsal, and cognitive behavior therapy. There gets to be a lot of overlap when utilizing or looking at these methods. The University of Physical Education in Wroclaw defined mental visualization as making use of human imagination in such a way as to program a person's mind to perform a movement task in the best possible manner. This goes back to the mind-body connection previously mentioned. The regions of the brain that play a role in executing motor functions and movements also aid in mentally representing those actions consciously without actually performing the movement. It is the connection of the prefrontal cortex to the basal ganglia that is responsible for this muscle memory and mind-body work. However, you cannot master a skill simply by visualizing it. If that were possible, anyone could be an Olympian, and that is not the case. Rather, it is a tool to aid an athlete's pre-existing physical skills and their practices and endeavors moving forward. But like any physical skill, these mental skills have to be practiced too. They can be trained in the same way the body can. So then it is also important to note that insufficient performance of the visualization and mental imagery techniques will result in a subpar or unimproved motor performance. When visualizing, the details are very important. All of the senses, as well as body awareness or kinesthesia, need to be in use, not just the athlete's sight. The athlete needs to visualize the sounds, smells, tastes, and other aspects similar to how it will actually be. The Online Journal of Sports Psychology emphasizes that the more closely the visualized conditions are to how it will actually be, the more effective it is. Visualization is to be used from both a first-person view and a third-person view, allowing the athlete multiple perspectives. For the study done by Piapiora and his colleagues, they took 20 karate fighters who specialized in kata and used them to evaluate the effectiveness of using mental visualization in their everyday training. To do so, they had the fighters perform an exercise that consisted of 3 parts. The fighters performed this exercise 3 times a day, every day, for 3 months. The exercise was performed upon waking up, before training while they were meditating, and again before going to bed. Each part had its own purpose and mantra that went with it. So this is where meditation and visualization really work together. Part 1 of the exercise was entering the state of relaxation. It was focused on the fighters knowing that they controlled their own thoughts, reflecting on past success, and becoming relaxed and focused. Part 2 was visualizing the kata event. The fighters are visualizing the movements they're going to perform and all of the little details. This step is crucial and can take some time to master. Part 3 is getting out of the state of relaxation. It is a shorter version of Part 1. The fighters are again visualizing themselves being in control of their thoughts and images. By recalling past successes, they are utilizing mindfulness meditation, and then they are using concentration meditation, especially in parts 1 and 3, where their breathing and mantras are very important. The fighters rank themselves on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. They did this during the first, second, and third months of doing these exercises. The following factors were looked at: positive thinking, mental resilience, focus, balance between the states of relaxation and stimulation, control of emotions, confidence, and thinking about goal implementation. The average score in the first month ranged from a 3.71 in balance between the states of relaxation and stimulation to a 5 in thinking about goal implementation. In the second month, all of the average scores were for 4.42 or above. By the third month, the lowest was a 4.91 in mental resilience, and all other categories had an average score of 5. This is one of many studies that showed very positive results over time for the implementation of visualization. There are many different methods that can be used for visualizing, and each will depend on the athlete, the sport, and the goal of using the visualization method. Meditation and visualization in sports have been proven to be successful in the physical performance of athletes. Attaining the correct mindset has also been proven to be successful in the physical performance of athletes. These come naturally to some, but others need to be taught. And who better to teach them than the person they spend more time with than friends and family, their coach. More and more coaches are choosing to incorporate these mental trainings into their regular training. Technology is improving, the development of physical training is improving, and it is getting increasingly more difficult to distinguish between athletes' physical skills, leading coaches to turn to psychological skill training in order to try to give their athletes an advantage. One big mental advantage that an athlete can have is self-confidence. Self-confidence is defined by the Exercise and Sport Science Reviews as the belief that one can successfully execute a specific activity rather than a global trait that accounts for overall performance optimism. This is similar to the previously stated definitions of mental toughness and visualization, and it is what meditating is trying to get the athlete to do: believe in themselves and focus. The athlete needs to have that belief in themselves and their abilities. They have a similar relationship as do self-confidence and sport performance. Coaches can have a key role in facilitating this self-confidence, which will help players win on and off the field. Some of the key qualities of medal-winning coaches include a continued will to explore the limit of the athletes and teaching them the same mentality, and having a positive mentality. In turn, some of the non-physical qualities that are important for a medal-winning athlete to have are mental skills including resilience and positivity, mental toughness, and a strong mind. These qualities of coaches and athletes are similar and will largely depend on each other. In addition, the International Journal of Sports Physiology and Performance found that when 15 elite coaches were asked if sports scientists and psychologists positively and significantly impacted their athletes' performances, 14 of the 15 said yes. So another way for coaches to help their athletes and improve their mental game would be to utilize sports psychologists and their knowledge. These are individuals who are trained in the mind, meditating, and visualizing. Meditation and visualization in sports are two ways for athletes to mentally improve their physical performance. This is proving that not all training is done in the weight room or on the field. Mindfulness meditation and concentrative meditation are useful in getting athletes to focus, either on past experiences or the task at hand. It allows them to step back and observe and get in the zone, preparing them either for competition or allowing them to learn from the past and physically improve in practice. Meditation often leads to visualizing, or the athlete mentally performing the movements and techniques without physically doing them. The mind-body connection is greatly strengthened this way, being that the regions of the brain for motor control and conscious mental performance are related. Visualizing doesn't take the place of physical practice, but does improve physical performance when practiced in addition to it. And coaches are beginning to realize this. Yes, Michael Phelps, Maria Belmont, and Usain Bolt are all naturally good at their respective sports and they physically train very intensely, but they also utilize mental training and help from a sports psychologist. This trend of meditating, visualizing, and partaking in mental training has increased and will most likely continue to do so as long as positive results continue to be shown.